This is FNAF 3! Finally I get to talk about this glorious mod. Well, mostly glorious. I mean, I do like this mod. Some of the songs here are absolutely incredible. And then there's the rest of the OST, which is kind of mid. Oh dear. This is overall my least favorite in just terms of soundtrack when it comes to versus FNAF 1, 2, and 3. However, I do still really like this mod. Quite a bit, actually. I like that it has its own story going on and actually properly tells it. I like some of the creative choices. I like some of the references in the free play songs, which makes up the majority of the OST and therefore explains why a lot of it is just kind of alright. Oh boy. The worst of Versus FNAF 1 had Backrooms. Overall, it was kind of a mid song, but it wasn't awful. The worst of Versus FNAF 2 were two songs that were actively trying to be bad, and one of them was a cover. My bad, I know I got that wrong. I did not realize that was a cover. However, Night Shift, which was my least favorite from Versus FNAF 2, is still a song I actually kind of like. So, Versus FNAF 3, surely the worst song here isn't gonna be that bad. No. Misconception. Alright. Concept first overall. It's the joke that Daddy Dearest is purple and the purple guy is purple. That's the entire joke. That's it. The instrumental is pretty meh. I mean, it sure is an instrumental, and Daddy Dearest sounds... I can't go on any longer. I hate this Freddy chromatic. It is so bad. This Freddy chromatic sucks so much. I legitimately hate how it sounds. When you have the absolutely beautiful vocals of Freddy in the first mod, and by extension, even in this mod's first song, Freddy's vocals are clean. They're really good. What in the actual hell is this? What is this goofy, odd, joke-sounding chromatic? Why is it this bad? Like, brother, I hate it, I hate it. Pacing of the song, it feels slower than it is. This is like a 3-minute song. It should have been like a minute. Maybe I wouldn't have been so mean to it, but you know, I'm gonna be mean to it. I don't like any of this song. I just don't. Like, this whole song, it's got ruined by Freddy's chromatic. I get some people like this chromatic, but honest to God, I hate it. It is so bad. And there are so many empty parts of the song, it makes it only feel slower than it already was. There's a funny visual bit, guys, where Freddy is replaced with PNGs. I haven't seen this joke in 50 other mods. Oh, and haha, funny, Daddy Dearest has a Family Guy reference, and I think that's Timmy Turner or something. I don't know. I don't care. This song sucks. And then there's the funny purple guy bit, which is the only part of the song that's... I mean, cool, I like that there's a Markiplier reference in there, and the beat almost goes in and then gets ruined because it's like, oh yeah, right, Freddy's chromatic sucks. All that being said, this isn't an F tier, this is a D tier, because at least Daddy Dearest doesn't sound bad, and at least the instrumental isn't... I guess it's okay, but this is so low for what I should be expecting from... Like, dude, I can't. I don't like it. I can't. Misconception, you are the worst song, not counting the two intentionally bad songs from Versus FNAF 2 of this trilogy. Good lord. Purple guy! Purple guy! From here on out, we have pretty low C tiers and above. Starting us with... Okay, this has got to be the most random song in the mod. Like, of all things to reference, they chose a lean joke. Really? This joke is already dead, like... Huh? I mean, whatever, music matters, so, boyfriend and... That's not Springtrap, that's Lean Trap, so that's what I'm gonna call him, I guess. Lean Trap doesn't sound awful here, its chromatic's a little bit choppy, but it's not necessarily a bad chromatic. The pace of the song is decent, the melodies are actually alright, so the instrumental is decent, like, it's fine, I guess. Even when boyfriend drinks the purple, this second half is where the song loses me. Like, the first half is actually kind of a decent bop, but the second half is just not. I'm not sorry. I do not like the second half. It is just so messy, and I get that's probably the joke they're going for, but it just doesn't sound good. None of this really sounds good. Lean Trap's vocals go from alright to bad. And the melody here is it's just lost. And then it's just like 30 seconds of slow instrumental fade out. This one's pretty pathetic, I won't even lie. Not awful, but pretty pathetic. Paper Pals! Yippee! My favorite! Originally this mod was going to be more of a joke mod because of how many people were demanding for Versus FNAF 3 to come out. The mod, thankfully, took a turn and became more serious. I'm really glad that Pora, Penity, and the rest of the team, they actually put into making the mod serious. Because you just can't rush it. So, to the team, I really hope you guys are taking a good break, and although I do hope you guys make Versus FNAF 4, take your time, please. The Paper Pals chromatics, all three of them for that matter, are pretty standard and not all that interesting. The instrumental, this is one of my least favorites. Not because it's poorly made or anything, but just because there's barely anything that interesting going on up until the ending. Oh wait, there is the really cool faceless instrumental reference that plays right before Paper Pal Bonnie shows up. That's actually kind of neat. I liked that. That's about it. Melody-wise, there's nothing really memorable here. It's all very standard. There's a few parts that are kinda decent, I guess. And then the third Paper Pal shows up later, and I have never known what this third Paper Pal is supposed to be. It's not Chica, that's not the puppet. What is that supposed to be? I mean, it could be the puppet, maybe. I have no idea. Regardless, they show up and they contribute pretty much nothing. And this song just feels overall really slow. And this instrumental bit where they're playing on the cardboard instruments, which visually is pretty adorable, charming, it's funny. But music-wise, there's nothing really that interesting going on here. It's pretty boring, all things considered, and then once they start getting back to singing, the final phase is actually pretty decent. I actually like it. Too bad the rest of the song is really boring. I almost ranked this one lower, but I ended up bringing up a few spots because, again, this final phase is actually pretty decent. And the others just have worse problems. This one's not necessarily a bad song, it's just a very boring song. Brain damage. So this song was initially supposed to just be JJ and FNAF 2 before the switch happened. The opening melody is, I mean, it's alright. There's nothing necessarily bad here. It's just sort of okay. I actually wish it got a bit more usage, but once you hear it once, it's kind of gone for the rest of the song. The overall instrumental is kind of plain. There's really nothing here. No cool little Easter eggs that I could hear. This whole thing very much feels, if I had to describe it in the most simple of ways, like a encore version of Helium. And fun fact about me, almost all of the time, I do not like encore versions of songs. They usually ruin what I like about the original, and then they add unnecessary things that just make it worse. Now this isn't always the case, but it is the case a good deal of the time. And for this one, yeah, no, I definitely prefer Helium over Brain Damage. For a few reasons. One, the song is definitely too long as it is. And the melodies just aren't as strong. It doesn't feel fitting. They just took what basically equated to a JJ and Balloon Boy song for what could have been versus FNAF 2, and they just slapped it in here. And it feels kind of lazy, I won't even lie. Not nearly as lazy as Party Room, given the fact that the Paper Pals I don't even remember being in FNAF 3 at all. Why didn't you just put them in the FNAF 2 location? You didn't have a problem doing that with Endo Revenge. I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm sorry. Then Phantom Balloon Boy is also here for this song, like I was alluding to earlier. And I do not like how they handle him. Primarily with his chromatic, because guess what? His chromatic basically sounds the same as it does in Versus FNAF 2. There might be a slight bit of reverb here, but I don't really hear a difference. At least not a significant difference. In fact, I don't even hear a significant difference between Phantom Balloon Boy and Phantom JJ. They sound so similar. There is a couple of decent parts here in terms of melody, which is why I'm ranking it higher than Party Room or the others that I ranked below it. Specifically near the ending, and of course that Helium melody returning is very nice. But, my main problem is just, it feels a little bit on the long side and the chromatics aren't very good. Which is even weirder given the fact that I actually really like Phantom Balloon Boy's chromatic in Fear Forever. I think he sounds great in that song. Here, it doesn't sound the same. And that's even more odd given the fact that Thunder92 made both of these songs. What happened? Did he forget which chromatic he used and just slapped in the normal Balloon Boy one, but then realized, oh wait, this is supposed to be Phantom Balloon Boy, and just tossed in a reverb? This whole song just feels lazy. All that being said, I still like elements of the song, but it's really not one I care for. Yo, a Pymation song! That's really cool! Last hour this one's called Who Made It? Oh no, G made it. Okay, well. Alright, hold on. Maybe Misconception was just a bad one. It's possible. Every artist has a fumble. Well, this song... Alright, positive, Neo. Positive first. The overall beat is actually decently catchy. I kind of like the melody it's going for, and the instrumental isn't bad. I wish the sound effects weren't as blaring as they are. And I do like how this overall song kind of uses original lines and sort of mixes them into the song. It actually has parts where it sounds really nice. But, I guess this one isn't necessarily bad because it's longer. If anything, I actually feel like the timer for this song is pretty decent. Phantom Freddy shows up, and his chromatic is pretty bland and boring. That's... this whole second half kind of drags out, actually, I won't even lie. It's second half. This is more like the second phase. There's basically 3 phases. You get the first phase, which is pretty decent, then you get this phase, which... this feels like it lasts for hours. Why? Why does it feel like it lasts for so long? And then the third phase shows up. It's criminal, the fact that they didn't even let my boy Phantom Foxy sing just a little bit. Come on! Come on! The main melody returns, and it actually sounds decent here. I guess it... this one... I wanted to like this one a lot more. Initially, I did like it, and I mean, it's a good song for what it is, but I don't know. I guess my biggest problem is the chromatics. They sound too similar to each other, and it's kind of hard to distinguish who is who sometimes, and overall sounds too messy. But one thing I'll absolutely give this song credit for is the art. I love how perfectly it mimics the original animation style. That's great.
Do you hear that?
Okay, bye. Happy travels. Okay, let's see here.
Endo Revenge, my least favorite of Penavi's music, and I have a good reason, just hear me out. So, context of the song is that the Endos initially were going to kidnap Hora and Penavi to finish versus FNAF 3 as a representation of the toxic FNF fans. Yeah, alright, that's pretty funny. But then it got made into a full Endo-specific song. Thank goodness this is not taking place in the Fazbear's Fright FNAF 3 location. That would have weakened this song drastically. Looking at you, party room! Anyway, Endo 1. Endo 1 has a decent chromatic, and the instrumental is... I mean, there's nothing really interesting going on instrumental-wise. It's kinda standard. The Walter White meme, it's there, and thanks. My ears hurt now. I did not want that. Oh well. Melody-wise, there's also really not much interesting going on here. It's very standard. The First to Go reference is actually pretty cool, I won't even lie. But overall, this whole opening just kinda lacks. And then Endo 2 shows up, hearing my complaint, and turns the song from, oh, it's alright, to really good. Like, wow. Endo 2 does not play around. This is definitely my favorite phase of the entire song. They focus fully on melody, and it's really good. The instrumental is just popping off the entire time. Endo 2 chromatic, it's pretty good, won't even lie, and I like the fact that he's just holding a katana. This dude is just funny and humorous. I kinda wish Phase 2 lasted a little bit longer, because he's really good. And his whole reason for trying to kill Boyfriend is that he's just mad he didn't get featured in versus FNAF 2, which... That's just... this song has a lot of charm, and it's funny. But now, I guess I should probably talk about the third phase. Oh boy, okay, so... The Endo from Security Breach shows up, and, melody-wise, there are some melodies here that are really good, that I really like. Sure, there is a lot of reuse of previous melodies, which kinda stinks. And my biggest problem with this song, Glamrock Endo does not shut up! Like, if he just maybe didn't talk as much and there was a bit more focus on the melody and the instrumental was not constantly starting and stopping, I would have really liked this song a lot more than I do. But as it stands, yeah, Glamrock Endo's constant yapping brings it down for me, and Phase 1 is pretty boring. I like the ending for the song, it's kind of decent, and there's some good humor here. But, this song definitely did not prioritize its melody, which is a bit of a shame. Alright guys, we are finally done with the mid songs, and we're on to songs that I actually really like. Retribution starts off the wave of really good stuff. This sprite work is cool. Like, I like this sprite work. I almost wish it lasted a little bit longer. And the beat starts off pretty nice and intense right off the bat. Nice! And I gotta gush a bit about Afton's vocals. They are so good in this mod. And I'm referring to this specific chromatic for him, not his Springtrap chromatic, which we'll talk about when that comes around. I love how they sound, and in this song, there's a lot of points where his voice gets really high, conveying his absolute terror of the ghosts he's seeing. That's cool, and Cassidy sounds good! Like, both of these chromatics are really nice. And a lot of the melodies here are super strong and are used very nicely. So far, I've had nothing but compliments. Surely I must have some complaints, right? The biggest that I have for this song is that it's a bit too long and some of it gets a little repetitive. But overall, I like the duets between these two. I like the intense back and forth. I like this whole confrontation theme that it's going for. And the perspective switch, that's cool. Especially with the way Cassidy sounds during this part. And the other ghost kids showing up, blocking the door like they do in the minigame. Oh, that is so cool. Again, it's a little bit repetitive during this bit. But then Afton puts on the suit. Cool little cutscene, and this ending goes from confrontation to panic. I love how intense and fast-paced the song overall gets. It really does convey this final act super well. The end of William Afton. It is so cool. And of course, you already know what happens. It all goes wrong for Afton. And he gets spring-locked. Weird that this is actually part of the song, too. Like, this isn't classified as a separation from the cutscene. This is part of the song. That's not necessarily a complaint, it's just a little bit odd that they didn't just separate the two and put this as a cutscene. Oh well. The song is really good. Like I said, this is where we go from just alright stuff to great stuff. Fear Forever. This is one of the bigger songs in the mod, and I know it's pretty surprising to see it a little lower on the list, but trust me, I have my reasons. We'll go through them as we go. However, phase by phase, we start with Phantom Freddy. The Fallen Star remix is pretty neat, I won't even lie, I actually really like it. And I gotta love that FNAF World boss fight theme reference, especially after replaying FNAF World recently and realizing, hey wait, this game is actually really fun though? It was a really cool reference to hear. I especially love the models and pretty much the entirety of the song, as well as its instrumental, but I'll get more on that later. I love how all of these characters managed to replicate super well how they looked in the game. Phantom Freddy does that both with the window and directly after this. His vocals, I think they are a little bit messy. They're very similar to the original Withered Freddy vocals. I mean, they're fine, they're not incredible, but they're not bad at all. They sound alright. And they make this whole intro sound decent. And then there's Phantom Foxy. Of course, probably arguably the most popular of the Phantoms, maybe besides Phantom Freddy, is gonna have 3 little mini phases. Starting off with this creepy line of dialogue, which I don't actually know the source of. Can someone maybe one day explain, hey, where does this line come from? It would be greatly appreciated. And this whole theme sounds really dark at first, but it's very piratey, fitting his whole motif. It's a little on the slow side, but I actually don't mind that. I like how dark and menacing it sounds. And then we get a full look at Phantom Foxy. His chromatic here sounds really good. It's one of my favorite of the Phantom chromatics. He has this whole menace to him. This second bit of Phantom Foxy's phase is arguably his weakest bit, but it's not bad, just pretty standard. And the chase segment sounds really good. Phantom Foxy pops off during the chase. It's incredibly good. And then we move right along to Phantom Chica, who has, in my opinion, probably the weakest phase of the bunch. Well, no, not the weakest phase, actually. More the least memorable. I would argue there's a different character with a weaker phase, the one coming up directly next, but Phantom Chica is the one I forget about more often than the others, which is a bit of a shame. I love how she's straight up just in the arcade, just like how she was in the original game. It looks pretty cool. And her vocals sound really nice. Like, she has a beautiful sounding chromatic here. Not better than her original chromatic, but then again, that kind of goes for all the Phantoms. It's still a really good chromatic, and it's one of my favorites for sure. It's a nice slow start, and then once she gets out of the arcade, it sounds pretty nice, and it has a good, decent reference to One Last Bite. So, you know, it's a good phase, it's just kind of lacking compared to a lot of the others. Then Phantom Balloon Boy shows up, and, I mean, this reverse part is, yeah, there's no, it's just a reverse part. I don't like reverse parts in FNAF songs, like, ever. They're kind of neat, but music-wise, they really don't leave an impact. Even with Purrin back in Hypno's Lullaby, it's kind of neat, but it's not something I really like. But that being said, his chromatic, once he actually starts singing normally, is really good. It's one of my favorite Phantom chromatics. Absolutely. I adore it. And melody is pretty good up until Boyfriend starts singing actual lyrics. Okay, I have two problems with this. One, just comes out of nowhere with no real build-up, and his lyrics are fine, and his singing is actually decent in this bit. But it kind of ruins the surprise of Everlasting when he actually starts full-on singing, which we'll get to later, trust me, I got some thoughts on that. But the fact that he's singing here at all kind of ruins the surprise of him singing in Everlasting. I feel like it would have been way more interesting and cool to see him singing in Everlasting if that was his first moment singing. But him singing here leaves less of that initial impact. And then Phantom Mangle. Wow! Of course, the Cerberus beat coming back in strong again. I absolutely love Phantom Mangle's part. Even the chromatic for Phantom Mangle sounds really nice. This overall beat is just so strong. I adore it. It sounds great. But then, of course, Phantom Balloon Boy decides, no, I'm not done. My phase was underwhelming, so I'm going to steal part of Phantom Mangle's spotlight. Much to my surprise, Phantom Balloon Boy and Phantom Mangle both sound really nice in a duet together. And Phantom Balloon Boy's chromatic here sounds at its best. I mean, yeah, like I said, I do really like his chromatic in his own section, but I don't know what it is for here. I think the more sporadic vocals definitely make him sound way cooler. And Phantom Mangle also sounds really nice here. It's a really good duo phase. And of course, the helium reference is beautifully well done. It's perfection. We then get this nice little transition where we see all the previous opponents. The instrumental here is really nice. It's actually beautiful throughout pretty much the majority of the song, with some small little things that aren't great, but overall it's a really good instrumental and fits the entire theme super well. I don't think this pause is necessary, but it's fine, 'cause then Phantom Puppet. Oh no, they changed the chromatic. Okay, so Phantom Puppet's chromatic isn't bad, but it's just, it takes away that charm of the original Puppet chromatic and just kind of makes it a normal chromatic, that doesn't really have much charm to it. That being said, melody-wise, it starts really good, and then the Puppets music box being played, that part I absolutely adore. It's one of my favorite parts of this entire song. However, if I'm gonna be honest, I feel like this phase should have ended when the music faded away out of the puppet box melody, because then it just kind of feels like it's going on for too long. Especially since this ending bit doesn't really sound very good. It kind of sounds out of tune. And then there's this long pause where the characters are all shifting into the phantom selves, which visually is pretty cool. Unfortunately, there was lyrics for this part that got cut. How dare you? That could have been cool, and I get that most of those sounded AI generated, and they probably were. But just get someone to actually do the lyrics themselves.
Your attempts to bury it were all in vain.
Your little eyes are full of pain.
I'm done with saving you. You don't deserve it.
Upon this night, you'll go down insane.
But then the We Are the Phantoms melody playing at the very end. Oh my gosh, that part is so almost perfect. The melody is super strong here. The chromatics together sound great. If I had one problem, I think the instrumental. There's bells playing with each note that plays, and I'm gonna be honest, it's a little bit distracting, and I think the song would have done better without the little bells. Overall, I really like this song, but it's got several points where it's not great. Totally Real. This is probably one of Penavi's most underrated work that he's made. A lot of people overlook this specific song because it's not nearly as grand as a lot of the others. You got Taken Apart and Out of Bounds and Endo Revenge, which are all much bigger songs with multiple phases. And until next time, as God, it's a great deal of fans, but I don't really see people talk about Totally Real, which is a shame because I absolutely love this song. Salvage, which I don't know much about, I'll be completely honest, is not the best chromatic in the mod. His chromatic actually isn't really all that strong. It's a good chromatic, but it's nothing incredible. However, Phantom Bonnie sounds awesome. I love how many references there are in the background to the Phantom toys, to the Withered toys, to the Shadow toy Freddy, to Sparky the dog and the purple guy animatronic. There's a lot of really cool little details here, and it makes it really nice to actually look through. Especially given the fact that I was someone who grew up and actually saw a lot of these hoaxes and was actually fooled by one in particular, funny enough being Phantom Bonnie. Yes, I was genuinely fooled that Phantom Bonnie was a real character when I was younger. I mean, can you blame me? You have Phantom Freddy, Phantom Chica, and Phantom Foxy, not a Phantom Bonnie? Yeah, I didn't think about the whole, oh, Springtrap's there, so the Bonnie quota is filled. Looking back on it, it's a little bit silly, but still. This whole beat is super well done. It has a very industrial and mechanical feel, which is actually super cool. And this song just goes unnecessarily hard. Especially the fact that there's, of all things, a big Chungus reference in the melody, which, not expected, very random, but kinda goes in though. I'll be completely honest, Phantom Bonnie definitely carries a lot of this song, as well as the instrumental just being really good. I wish Salvage had a better chromatic, because I probably would have ranked this song higher. I don't know how much higher, given the fact that, you know, it's already pretty high, but, you know, it's still a really good song.
Get freaky on a Friday night.
You're not seeing this wrong, by the way. I really did just put Waffles this high on the list. Look, I am unapologetic towards this. This is my favorite of the goofy songs. The vocals, just the actual sentences being mixed in with the beat. It's so good. The instrumental is unironically just a straight up banger, and even after the sentence mixing and the song is done, the melody is super good. I'm gonna be completely honest, there is not a single bad part of this entire song. It is just really good. It's such a random reference, but also, like, it's a funny reference. I love this skit with the waffles, so I don't mind this at all. It got a really good laugh out of me the first time I saw it. And I love the chromatics for all three of these guys. Like, Springtrap sounds funny, Fredbear sounds good, Spring Bonnie is, I guess that's supposed to be Spring Bonnie, I think. He sounds unironically really good as well. But then there's just straight up this part. Like, I'm sorry, but it's so good. I adore this song. Look, be mad at me if you want for ranking this song so high. I literally don't care. I love it. Melody is great. Reference is so appreciated. Chromatics are great. Instrumentals. This is just a great song. I love it. I know, it's probably the stupidest possible pick I could have chosen. I don't care. It's great. Bounds. How long is this song? 9 minutes. Oh. Oh dear. Okay, where do I start? Well, let's go ahead and just start with phase 1. This better pull an unbeatable and better be good throughout the entire thing. Oh dear. Balloon Boy's first segment with the 8-bit is... Wait, hold up, this is actually a bop though. Balloon Boy's segment here is really well done, and Shadow Bonnie sounds incredible, and of course, I mean, come on, Balloon Boy sounds really good. I haven't mentioned up to yet, but honestly speaking, Balloon Boy has one of my favorite sets of chromatics from this entire trilogy of mods. It's just so fitting for FNAF. And then the transition happens towards the glitchy Shadow Balloon Boy. I'm gonna be honest, I never really understood the FNAF 3 minigames, so I'm not entirely sure what the point of it is. It feels like they're turning against their code, realizing, hey, wait a minute, Shadow Bonnie's not supposed to be here, and they start getting violent. And I love the melody for this entire bit. Honestly speaking, Balloon Boy's 2 phases are probably my favorite bit of the entire song. It's just so good throughout the entire thing. Balloon Boy and Shadow Bonnie have this really nice back and forth that doesn't last for too long. Penavy really nailed the timing for the majority of this song. And the instrumental is just a bop the whole way through. And then we go into... Okay, you know what, I gotta say it. I have a feeling that Mangle might, maybe, just maybe, be one of Penavy's favorite animatronics, given how every time Mangle seems to show up in a song, it just goes so hard. Mangle's section here is awesome. The pixelated part is just beautifully well done. I love how Mangle sounds here. Sounds normal, yeah, the same chromatic, maybe, but the voice is so much higher pitch and it gives off this much more friendly appearance. And oh my gosh, this melody just goes in so hard. I cannot get enough of Mangle's phase. I know I said Balloon Boy might have my favorite sections, but Mangle is like right on Balloon Boy's level. Balloon Boy's a little more consistent than Mangle, but like barely. Like these are both incredible phases, and Mangle's transition phase, not only does it look super cool, but again, melody-wise, it's awesome. And I mean, hey, I'm not gonna say no to a Cerberus reference. That's just awesome. So yeah, first 2 sections of Out of Bounds, Balloon Boy and Mangle, they are both not holding back. So then Toy Chica shows up, and okay. I'll be honest, Toy Chica's 8-bit phase is so far the weakest part of the song. It's not bad, but it's just kind of underwhelming, especially comparing it to Balloon Boy and Mangle's 8-bit phases, because their phases just go in so hard, and then Toy Chica just kind of feels like... It almost feels hesitant. Like there was a worry, don't go in too much. I don't entirely dislike that though, because it does offer a nice downtime in between those 2 super intense phases, and then Toy Chica's second phase where everything gets all glitchy again. There is not a single bad part of Toy Chica's second half. It is incredibly well done, and of course, come on, the pecking order motif popping in from about the middle to the end is so... Oh my gosh, it's so good, but I don't feel like it overshadows the rest of Toy Chica's second half, because the entire thing is just that good. But then we get to Fredbear. Okay, alright, chromatic-wise, Fredbear is a very goofy-sounding voice. It's actually pretty fitting, and I do like it for this first half. It's nice and silly, and it fits the instrumental really well, and... Penavy, my man, my guy, why did you put a King Dice reference in the melody here? I'm not complaining, thank you, I love that, but why? It's so random, but honestly, it's probably my favorite bit out of Fredbear's entire part, because I just can't help but just start bopping my head to that beat, because it's such a good theme. I love it. It's a very nice and friendly vibe, and it works really well. And then Fredbear's second half comes in, and I'll be honest, I don't like this phase that much. Comparing it to the rest of Out of Bounds, it's not awful, but it's, in my opinion, the absolute weakest part of Out of Bounds. The instrumental, I guess, is fine, but I'm not a huge fan of how Fredbear sounds here. I don't think his chromatic even changed from the first half to the second half, which is jarring given how the others, it seemed to have changed. I might just be hearing things, but at least it sounds different with each of the other characters, but for Fredbear it sounds the same. And I'm not really a fan of that because I don't feel like his goofy voice fits this much more intense segment, especially given that this is supposed to be the last battle segment. And it doesn't really convey that super well with Fredbear's voice. That being said, Shadow Bonnie still does sound good, and again, instrumental is really nice here. Visuals, this is also one of the weaker ones. I like Fredbear's model, but comparing it to the others where they all have some kind of creepy distortion in the background, whether a tree or the giant cupcakes, and Fredbear's just in a giant spinning void, it's a little less interesting to look at. And probably my biggest problem with it is just the melodies, which, I'll be honest, I actually like the melodies here. I especially like the ending for the second half. It's just a shame because Fredbear's voice is chromatic. It kinda weakens it for me. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate Fredbear's second phase, but it's kind of weak compared to a lot of the rest. The last phase of Out of Bounds is one big ol' Happiest Day reference, and I'm not referring to the FNAF song from the first mod, I'm referring to the minigame. It's... oh my gosh, it is, for lack of any other words, beautiful. It is a incredible ending segment. The instrumental goes in very nice here. It's just... I don't know what else to say. I don't feel like words can do this ending justice. This ending definitely saves the song, because if it had ended it on Fredbear's segment, it would probably end up a lot lower. I do feel a little conflicted on the song in some areas, but when I compare it to something like Fear Forever, I mean, this song just consistently remains a bop throughout the whole way through. It only has one weak phase. Whereas Fear Forever, although it is a very big bop of a song, it has multiple little things that I'm just not a fan of, which is why I genuinely prefer Out of Bounds. It's more consistent. And if a song can remain consistently better, then I'm gonna end up liking it more. And that's just how I feel. Everlasting. This song took its time to grow on me, because at first there was so many problems with the song that I could see that I really just did not care for it. But now that the song has grown on me, I see all of its best attributes over its negative ones. Starting it up, the instrumental is very nice. It has an extremely nice and natural progression. There is not a single part of this instrumental that I don't like. I mean, it's all good. Springtrap's vocals are also really good. And it's kind of odd given how you wouldn't expect Springtrap of all people to have a nice chromatic, but this song makes it work really well, which is very surprising. I was worried it was going to be a bit like a Pico chromatic. Like, it's kind of cool and it sounds more like he's actually rapping, but also it kind of leaves a lot of empty space. Thankfully it doesn't do that. It actually sounds very good. I love a lot of the different poses, especially once he starts switching to the cameras. But, of course, melody is the most important thing. It's kind of what determines the majority of my rankings in the first place. And I'll be honest, this first phase, I mean, it's a good first phase, but, like, it's not mind-blowing or anything. I think it takes, at least for me, once the second camera switch happens, for the melody to go from, yeah, it's pretty good to, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Because the first bit is kind of just standard for me. Not a bad opener, just not as strong as I wish it could have been. And then Springtrap appearing in the doorway, yeah, that's actually pretty cool, and I like how the melody sounds here, it's very strong. But then I have to talk about the big moment of the song, which is the actual singing. Alright, credit where credit is due. Penevi, who does Springtrap's voice, or Afton's voice, throughout this entire mod, has, in my opinion, a perfect Springtrap impression. Like, I'm not even kidding. Penevi could do voice work for Springtrap. That is how insanely good his impression is. It's awesome. And surprise, surprise, his singing voice is actually not bad either. Granted, you can only get so far when you're trying to imitate a dead corpse while also singing, so, you know, it's not gonna be perfect. My big problem is Boyfriend himself. There are some parts of this singing bit where he sounds tolerable and even kinda good, but the rest of it just sounds almost, and I know this is gonna be a little bit of a mixed opinion here, he sounds AI generated. I genuinely thought that's what his voice was. I didn't realize he had an actual voice actor. I'm sorry if that seems rude, but yeah, his voice is pretty rough at several points of this, and it weakens this overall singing section. It's not bad because, again, the Afton impression is just that good, and the lyrics themselves are actually pretty neat. Although there's one thing about this singing bit that I absolutely adore above all else, it's his visuals. Pora really put his back into absolutely making every visual in this mod really awesome, and he killed it. And after this, admittedly, in my opinion, mediocre singing bit, we get into where the song goes from really good to absolutely peak. This chase segment is so awesome. I cannot get over how good it sounds. The melody here is super strong, the visuals are really nice. Everything here about this chase bit is awesome. I adore it. But of course, Left Behind. This entire segment is so good. Visual-wise, there's a lot of little Easter eggs given to Afton's life. And of course, the music itself popping off with that Left Behind melody is, oh my gosh. I cannot get over how good it is. This entire segment is one of my favorite segments from the entire... No, not even just from this specific mod, but from all of the Versus FNAF mods. That is how awesome this part is. There is not one flaw in this Left Behind segment. And then the final bit with Springtrap and Boyfriend's final battle, wow. And I thought Retribution did this confrontation theme well. Nah, Everlasting looks at that, and it looks like a cheap knockoff. That is what Retribution looks like when you compare it to Everlasting. This entire segment with the fire burning, Oh, it's so good. And even the little jump scare screaming sound that plays is actually incorporated super well. It feels so intense. And although, yeah, usually I don't like spam vocals, this is done so well. And I think the reason that Everlasting does this bit so perfectly compared to other songs is because the really quick, fast vocals are kind of buried under the opponent's vocals, or boyfriend's vocals, depending on whose turn it is, where they're carrying a proper melody. That's what I adore so much. It's so good. The priority here in the second half does it so well. And this final segment, this wind down, this wind down is so good. And although, yeah, usually I don't like long instrumental pauses, Everlasting ending on this very nice orchestral ending followed by that soft piano fade is super good, and I think it fits this song perfectly, and I wouldn't have ended it any other way. It truly is a perfect way to end the song. And this whole thing really does Springtrap justice. In fact, this song does Springtrap more justice than Golden Vengeance ever did Golden Freddy. Fun fact, apparently this is Penneby's favorite song for the mod. Fair enough. It's an absolute banger. Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie get their big fight in. The instrumental for this song is just... it's incredible. I cannot put into words how good it is. Now, last time I've complained mainly about melody and Shadow Freddy's vocals. So, what do I think of this one? Well, Shadow Freddy actually got fixed up. It feels like he's properly learned how to sing through the entire rap battle, because he sounds great at every point. And he doesn't sound quiet anymore. That's great. The Enigma and Backrooms references are very well appreciated, but I don't ever feel like this song is taking too much from both songs. I feel like there are several points where the melody can be its own thing at times. I wish that this song did have a little bit more original moments, but you know what? If it just means that this song gets to be as fire as possible, I will take however the song presents itself, because it's great. But of course, you know what, no, I have to mention the visuals. The visuals are just so good. They look awesome throughout the whole song. Alright, I gotta talk about it now. Shadow Bonnie shows up, and of course, just like in Enigma, he absolutely steals the show when he shows up. His vocals are, once again, just incredible. The melody is so freaking good. And I actually feel like this time, he's not completely overshadowing. Get it? Overshadowing Shadow Freddy. It feels like the two of them have a nice balance. And oh my gosh, the Shadow Bonnie music box melody. Straight leading back into Enigma. Oh, it's so good! The pacing of this song is incredible and works wonders. I don't know what else I can say about this song. It is just... It's so good. The entire thing is incredibly well done from start to finish. Great work, Penevi. I can totally see why this is your favorite. However... it's not quite my favorite. Oh my gosh, Taken Apart. This song is one of my favorite FNF songs ever. I adore it in its entirety. Like, I absolutely love this song. Afton's chromatic is so good here. And like, I was worried when I realized this was gonna be a song because Orpal Guy showed me that Purple Guy probably can't have a good chromatic. But then Penevi out here made this chromatic and made it perfect in this song, and I love it! Freddy's vocals in this first section are just heavenly to listen to. They are incredibly good. And the Fazbear reference, oh my gosh, it's so good. I can't get enough of it. It's so good! This whole back and forth is incredible. The instrumental during not only this, but just the entire song. I would listen to it over and over on its own. It is just that good. It is such a proper build-up. A very nice back and forth. Almost wish it lasted a little bit longer. But you know what? I don't care because Freddy uses every second of his phase to make it incredible. Then we get Bonnie's phase. Oh, you thought Freddy's phase was good? First of all, there's a cool little Shut the Door beta reference in there in the instrumental. That's a nice little reference. That's cool. And then Bonnie is once again pulling out the guitar, and it sounds better here than it ever has before. Oh my god, so good! The back and forth here is really nice. And Bonnie's little solo, oh, is just so good. Again, Shut the Door reference will always be appreciated no matter what form it comes in, because I'm a sucker for that melody. It is just that good. Oh my gosh. What else can I say about Bonnie's phase? And the instrumental is still popping off. Afton still sounds awesome. Bonnie still... I adore this entire phase. Please, more FNF songs, can you use just instrumental only specific characters like Bonnie and using his guitar? Because they sound so awesome! Alright, calm down. Because now we have Chica's phase. Now, realistically, Chica's phase should probably be my least favorite. given the fact that Chica is not only my least favorite of the main 4 animatronics, but also, generally speaking, I feel like Chica's stuff in these mods is kind of weaker most of the time. Nope! This phase is still really, really good. I'm also really happy that Penavy did not try to give the cupcake a bit to sing in Chica's section, given the fact that I'm really not a fan of how the cupcake sounds in the original versus FNAF 1 mod, and I think a lot of people shared that sentiment. So it's a very good thing that the cupcake just does not sing and lets Chica take the whole thing for herself. I think if the cupcake sang, it probably would have ruined a bit of Chica's phase. But since it's not there, yeah, it's great. Especially given how good Chica's chromatic is. Because it is so good, and again, the ending with the one more bite. Oh gosh, it sounds so good. Thank you for not just forcing jump scare sounds in there, though. That probably would have made it worse. Oh my gosh, and then my boy. Foxy is my boy, and he is coming out strong. Oh, the pirate sounding music, because they all have a different main instrumental that they use to convey their personality is so cool. And Foxy out here pulling off all the pirate themes with his instrumental bit and his chromatic, it sounds so good. I'm gonna be honest, Freddy feels like the first phase is perfect as an encounter phase. Bonnie is the realization phase. Chica is that, oh no, we are doomed phase. But Foxy's phase? Put up your hands, Mr. Afton! I'm about to show ya a pirate's way of life. I am not going down without a fight, matey! Cause, I love Foxy's face! I can't get over how good it is. Dying Fire, is that you I'm hearing? I don't know, I don't care! Oh, adrenaline rush! I need to calm down. My gosh. Whew. This back and forth is just godly. It's so nice because I'm happy that Foxy lasts the longest because again, he conveys that final battle. Like, he's really fighting to take down Afton. And there's a lot of really good intensity. And Afton, I know the song you're singing, man. God, it's so cool! Foxy's really putting up his all. And then by the end, it does feel like that final defeat. Foxy realizes he can't fight Afton forever, but he gonna go out the best way he can. I love this song! And that was versus FNAF 3. Yeah, this mod has a lot of stuff, but one thing that this mod shows is its creativity and its effort. This mod represents what the FNF fandom can be at its absolute highest moments. I really do believe that. Because FNF mods, they can be something incredible. And I do really like a lot of this mod. Its highlights are super good. It's just weighed down by some pretty mid songs overall. But I still really like this mod. Again, this is what FNF fandom modding looks like at its best. Well, maybe not its best, but close to its best. It's hard to beat Mario's madness in that regard. However, all that being said, versus FNAF 4, I understand that Pora and his team might not even make that mod, but come on, the last song of the mod is Until Next Time. It's a whole foreshadowing. You can't end it on 3, there's so much left. But you know what? I don't mind if they take their time on it. Even if they choose not to make it. I get it. It's very stressful. As long as you guys don't force yourselves to make it, that's good. But if you do decide to make it, please take your time and just don't listen to the people constantly demanding for the mod. They're trolls with nothing better left in their life. They can't be bothered to wait, and they don't bother thinking of others. They're really not worth living in your head. They're just not. So please, take your time, put the effort that you want to put in, and if you guys do make a versus FNAF 4, I will be there to rank the songs, as I always am. I mean, hey, if you guys need help with any creative ideas, I have ideas for versus FNAF 4. You know, if you are making that, I have ideas in the basement. I have not let them out yet. Okay, Shane, it's probably over. Anyways, I'll probably rank Daycare Death Trap sometime soon, after I get to another big mod. And of course, can't forget it, here is the tier list. Anyways, I will see you all in the next video where I cover one of the biggest mods the FNF fandom ever got. In the meantime, God bless, and I'll see you then. Bye.